So, music is an important part of our day-to-day lives. One way it connects is by featuring topics that appeal to certain demographics. Well, we're a Geek Culture podcast, so what are some artists that you can think of that draw from nerd culture? And what are some artists that help to influence that culture? So, which one of you guys would like to start out? Huh? Oh, yeah, we'll let our musician. We do have, we have a musician in here. So, J-Rod,
what this is a really cool band. It pays homage to everything that is nerd culture. And if you never heard of them, and if you can stand to listen to ska, they are adorable. The singer is actually the creator of the show Yo Gabba Gabba. I know some of you dorks are probably old enough that your parents put that on TV for you and you watched it as a kid. But so for me, it's like something new. But anyway, the singer created that show, and that band is called the Aquabats. The Aquabats are also famous because their drummer originally is Travis Barker from Blink-182. Yes. Before Blink-182. And they're just like a goofy ska band. It's kid friendly. It's something you can listen to in the car. They talk about Star Wars stuff. They talk about pizza day at school and how fun that was. Just all kinds of good songs. I would honestly suggest you start from the beginning and listen to like the early albums, like The Fury of the Aquabats or the Return of the Aquabats, the stuff back when like Travis was in the band. And then as they progress, they get a little bit more new wave sounding, a little bit more electronic and stuff, but still ska. It's just more like Devo, I guess. Yeah. Too. And it's just a lot of fun topics for songs. Like he's got one where they make fun of new metal bands. It's called "I Fell Asleep in My Arm," and each part of the song is like a different new metal band.
Yeah.
And so like it starts out with like Korn, and then it moves into Rage Against the Machine, and then it goes into Limp Bizkit. You know, because they're like, corporate America makes pencils for the man with the left hand. Corporate America makes pencils for the man with the right hand. But what about the man with the numb hand?
So, is there anywhere that they were featured that people might know? Like, I'm pretty sure that didn't they do a lot of like old school like Adult Swim back in the day?
I think they might have been like cameoed on there at one point. They do have a show called The Aquabats as well. It's like a cartoon, I think, and then they have a live action version. And it's kind of like a Power Rangers kind of thing, I guess, because they're in tights and stuff, and they run around and fight giant monsters. Jesus. And they also incorporate that into their show, so they'll have giant foam monsters come out. They kind of look like the same thing you'd see on Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah.
And they'll fight it on stage during the song. And like,
that's pretty great.
Karate and all that stuff. So yeah, if you're into like cheesy, hokey, like 80s style action kid shows and stuff like that, like they just absorb that culture and spit it right back out at you.
It does sound like they would be a very fun band to see live. Like it's
I could say I've seen them live. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of show you could take, like if you have kids that are getting into music that are younger, like even like 7 or 8 years old, they do not do anything adult at their shows. They're not cussing or like, how we fucking doing tonight? Let's fuck this place up. They're not like that. They're like, how are y'all doing? This song is called Lovers of Loving Love. You know, like, just really goofy.
I mean, I know that it's not the same, but I do enjoy like a goofier kind of a band that has like goofier sound, you know, like Ween or something like that. Or, you know, that's.
Yeah. If you like Ween and stuff like that, you probably like Aquabats.
Yeah, so that's I don't know a lot from them, but I do know some from them. So I'm definitely gonna have to like listen to them some more. Shorty, what do you think? Is this a band that you have heard of, or one that sounds appealing?
I've never heard of them, but it sounds hilarious. So after the show, I'm going to be pulling up YouTube and looking them up.
Yeah,
because that just sounds funny. Because I do like ska music, so it's always nice to find a new artist in the genre.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I do enjoy with bands that are delving into in a part of like the geek nerd culture is there is that quirkiness to it that you kind of have to throw aside the trying to be cool and just embrace your goofiness, which in my opinion makes you cooler in the first place. And like one of the bands that I enjoy for that, and one that I'm wanting to bring up, is the Gorillaz. I personally love the Gorillaz. And I think that with first off, well, them being animated first already brings them very close to what's going to appeal to a lot of like nerds and geeks anyway, because that's just cool. You don't see that too often. There's been some that have done it as well. You know, you have like your Daft Punk, who's also, I would consider like pretty well ingrained in nerd culture, especially since they had a whole anime. So, but with Gorillaz, I think that they have a really funny, weird connection to something really nerdy. And for anyone that didn't know,
they introduced the world to Del the Funky Homo Sapien.
Well, yeah, that is also true. But one thing that is kind of interesting, if you haven't kept up in the last few years, there was a bit where their bass guitarist was in prison. Like, because if you don't know, their music videos actually continuously tell a story. You can watch them in order, and there's a story that they're telling. And so the bass guitarist gets put in prison. So they had to go and get someone to replace him. And it was none other than Ace from the Gangrene Gang from Powerpuff Girls. So they actually got a character from another cartoon to be their bass guitarist for about half a year to a year. So I thought that that's a really cool connection to geek culture and shows how well connected they are to it.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I would have wanted that octopus from the Hanna-Barbera cartoons to play guitar.
Man, I love Hanna-Barbera.
He could play 4 of them, right? The octopus, they have 8 arms, right? They could play 4 guitars.
That is.
Well, technically, he would
intense.
need 2 of them for legs.
Yeah.
So.
Not if he's underwater, baby.
Oh yeah. Oh man. So Shorty, what you got for us though? I'm sure that you've got a nerd band that you would like to, or a musician that you would like to bring up, and then we'll just kind of riff a bit and bring up some other artists we think that are well ingrained within nerd culture.
Yeah, so whenever I think of like nerd culture and music, my brain automatically goes to League of Legends.
Okay.
I'm a big League fan because they have the Pentakill band, but they also release different artists like Imagine Dragons for their World Championship games that they do every year. So from 2014, the year I graduated, Imagine Dragons came out with the song Warriors, and it's one of their biggest songs specifically for that competition.
Yeah.
Imagine Dragon D's nuts. Yeah,
but, you just cannot help yourself, can you, J. Ryan?
Nope.
But that's the first thing when I think of, because one, they have their own band called Pentakill, owned by Riot, but they also lease out other artists for their championship every year, and they have great songs. Like, I don't think there's one song they've put out for their World Championship that I've disliked.
Yeah.
And they do play on repeat a lot when they get released. The animation's really good for it, and it's just something that's always stuck with me probably since middle school.
Yeah.
That League and music.
I can understand, because like the music that is in video games is so influential as well. Like so many bands I've picked up just because of like a video game I was playing. I mean, come on, anybody that played Tony Hawk or Jet Set Radio or anything like that, you know, or any of the Need for Speed games, like they're just popping with all sorts of different types of music that has kind of ingrained itself into a lot of what people think of when they think of video games music.
There's a lot of bands that got they like quadrupled, if not 10 times their popularity, just because they got on those Tony Hawk games.
Oh yeah.
You know, like what was it, Goldfinger or whatever?
And
they got real popular because they had
Green Day did for a little bit.
Well, Green Day was already popular though.
Yeah, but they get a spike during the game releases.
I love that song, by the way, Jared.
Superman. Yeah, I bet you do.
You leave me alone, man. People are always making fun of me for this stuff. Like, oh, quit just playing yourself in the Power Rangers game. Oh, we get it that you like skateboarding. Oh, just mean to me.
Hey, I don't judge. Do whatever character you want, man.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it makes sense that you would like that song. That's all I'm saying. Like the other day we were talking about Bjork, and I was listening to Bjork the other day, and I started thinking, Rune would just love this band. And you're like, I do.
Because I like really quirky kind of music. It's fun for me, especially when I'm kind of vibing around and stuff. And I'm also a big classic rock guy. And that's one thing. A lot of like old school classic rock has a lot of like medieval fantasy style influence from it. You know, like
Zeppelin.
Yeah. Zeppelin is like a great example. Like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
What's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers song you're referring to?
Well, if you watch some of their music videos, they had like "Don't Come Around Here No More." That was the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland video. Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my favorite videos of all time too. But I think that music videos are another way that a lot of people can also kind of have that connection. Because you look at something like Disturbed, they had a lot of animated videos that were very, very anime influenced. And that definitely drew a lot of people to it. I mean, if you have that draw in, you're going to draw in people that you might not have before. And I think that by pursuing that art style, even that probably did bring them in some people that might not have thought of listening to them before.
On that note, what are your thoughts on AMVs?
Oh, what is
an AMV?
So an AMV is an anime music video where they'll go and take footage from an anime and put other music to it. It was a huge thing, more so when YouTube was first getting started because we weren't so worried about copyright. They still have contests for making them at the conventions where you're literally making a music video out of your favorite.
Back in the early days of YouTube, you could kind of just slap stuff up there and there's not any restrictions.
Bam. What are you getting into?
But now that there's so much money wrapped up into it, they can't be like, oh, we're profiting off of somebody's artwork they did, two, somebody's artwork that they did.
So AMVs introduced me to so many new artists because I put on an AMV playlist on random on YouTube, and I'd hear a song that I liked, and I'd go deep dive into their music. And that's how I found a lot of smaller bands.
There was a lot of them at like the dawn of YouTube. So there was a lot of that anime music combination. If you had a song that worked really good with action anime, it was going to be discovered and used for like a million Dragon Ball Z videos, a million like Naruto Bleach.
Big one.
The coolest animated music video ever made. And I guarantee you none of y'all have seen this. Anybody that's watching. After the show's over, look up the band Vitamin X.
I don't know.
Crack. If you like skateboarding, you like animated stuff, and you like heavy music, this is all of those things. And that video just goes off the rails.
So a really fun one for another and I would say he has a pretty good connection with Geek Culture as well, is Mike Judge has a music video with the Zac Brown band called I think it's In the Wind. And it's such a fun video that has a similar art style to his show that he did, Super Jail. It's very quirky and over the top. Like that's a fun one to look into if you're wanting a really fun music video. But yeah, creator of King of the Hill, Idiocracy. He did a music video. I thought it was pretty cool because it's not something I'd seen him do before.
Yes, I didn't know that.
It's the stuff that plants grave.
So we've talked a little bit about rock. What about some rap possibly? Like, is there any rap artists that you guys can think of that are pretty well ingrained into geek culture?
Shorty just like lit up. He's like,
so it's like, I'm here. Hear me roar. I will talk about the rapping anime nerds.
To be fair, I listen to a lot of rap.
Oh, do you really? I couldn't tell.
I do.
I should have known you were so down with it. You're such a gangster there, Shouty. I got to say it like that now. I didn't know you were down with the G's.
Judge movie, whenever you go, you're going on the off ramp to the freeway, and there's like a black guy out there selling roses. You're like, turn it down.
So who are we talking about, Shorty? Who are we talking about?
We're going to talk about Shiki. Shiki TMNS is his name, and he does anime raps. Okay. And they're all about like muscle mommies and like maid cafe.
Of course, that's what you're like. Let me tell you about this guy that raps about all the perversions of anime, just every bit of it.
It is every cliche of the dark side of anime is this guy raps about, and it's fucking hilarious.
And it's pretty funny. It's like degeneracy all in one rapper.
It is. He has a song called Hentai Bitch.
Of course he does.
Or E-Girls Be Bouncing.
You know who else sprinkles in a lot of nerd culture into their music? And that's Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah. That's very true. Well, because
they even talk about like swing swords, like Shinobi. You know, like they just start bringing up video games and all kinds of stuff. Stomp you like that Cat Blanca.
Man, well, like there is a lot of like nerd references in rap nowadays. I mean, you look at someone like Megan Thee Stallion, like she does a lot of cosplay. You have like other rappers like Ash Nico that is very, very anime influenced. That's one of my favorites personally, just because it's kind of trashy
rap.
Megan
Thee Stallion do?
Well, like she recently had that music video Boa where it has a lot of like video game references. She dresses up like Boa Hancock from One Piece. Like I said, she does.
Is she gonna be in the season 2?
I'm gonna slap you, Jared. So no, for anyone that's watching, she has not been cast as Boa Hancock. She made a music video called Boa where she has dressed up as Boa Hancock. That's not how casting works in Hollywood. They said it
on the internet that she's gonna do that.
Oh, that it must be true.
Everything on the internet's real, man. Don't you know?
But she's more of an example of somebody that didn't get.
The internet says she's going to be in season 2. Rune says she's not. So
I said it.
Who you want?
Lordy.
I'm writing that down.
It's on the internet now. It's been recorded.
It's out there. Must be true. But like, so here's the thing though. So she's so Megan Thee Stallion's a great example of somebody that got famous that happens to be a nerd though. There are other people that got famous because they're a nerd, and I think a great example of that is like MC Chris. So like, I know he's not like super explosive popular anymore, but I know when I was like in high school and stuff, like I rocked out to a lot of MC Chris, man. Like, especially because he had a pretty big connection with Cartoon Network in Adult Swim. He was always on like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and they even had a pilot for a TV show they were going to make for him, an animated show they were going to make for Adult Swim revolving around him.
That would have been super obnoxious.
You can go and watch the pilot. It's still on YouTube. I'm still on YouTube actually. It's like maybe a 5-minute pilot, so it's not long enough that it's going to get too obnoxious for you. It's still worth the watch to see kind of the vision for what they had. But yeah, so I think that he's a great example of like somebody that kind of uses the nerd culture to kind of be essential to their music. You know, like you look at something like Flight of the Conchords as well, that is kind of very in a specific, you know, genre of, you know, they're not referencing specific nerdy things, but they're doing kind of things that are goofy to that culture. You know, people that find those types of things funny.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked out the David Bowie episode of Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
We also have like the Gond. It's GAWD.
Yeah.
He started off doing anime raps through history. So he would just take time frames and connect them all together through a song, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Early 2000s, and now he doesn't do that anymore, but he still references a lot of animes and cartoons and just sitcoms and stuff like that in his music, which is really cool in my opinion.
I dig it. Well, I mean, and then you can also go even as far back as the Beatles and the Yellow Submarine, the very first anime. I just want to see Shorty's head spin around 3 times.
He looks wrong. Very wrong.
You know, the best anime of the 2000s was King of the Hill, though. You can't even deny that, Shorty. Yeehaw!
And the best character was Boomhauer. Mm-hmm. He had the most beautiful voice.
Uh-huh. Oh, man. Oh, but
we had a guy I used to live next to who talked like that. Which was
that's
funny.
The worst.
Oh, if you grew up in Texas, you definitely had a guy on your street that talked like that.
Well, it was Oklahoma.
I grew up in Tennessee, and there's a lot of those people around here as well. But yeah, so any other artists that you guys would like to bring to light before we kind of end this podcast of like nerd influenced or influenced nerd culture musical artists? Nude culture.
Not particularly that involve at least the anime world, but if you enjoy things that are kind of like, if you like nerdy stuff, you'll probably like his music. Jake Hill. Hill he's also a rapper, but he does more of the dark, somber, depresso espresso type of rap.
You want to get really, really throwback? Look up Voltaire, Sexy Data Tango. If you're a Trekkie, that's the
dude. I love Voltaire. Anybody that grew up watching The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was introduced to Voltaire, and if you were like me, you went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I admit, I love that, and that's a very kooky style of music, and he had a song with Amanda Palmer of God, what is the name of that band? I can almost pull it off the top of my head. Amanda Palmer is the name of the singer. It was the Dresden Dolls. The Dresden Dolls.
Oh, the Dresden Dolls. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they did a song together that is pretty fun. It's like a back and forth duet.
It'd be funny if it was Robert Palmer's daughter.
So they also did a song called "Stuck with You."
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what they did together. Yeah, Stuck with You. It's a back and forth between the two. It's a very like cute in the like we're gonna like murder each other gothic kids kind of way. It's very Voltaire, and you know, I mean, I enjoy it. So I'll put one more out there. Post Malone. Dude paid $2 million for a Magic the Gathering card. Like, it doesn't get like more nerdy than that, my guy. Like that's pretty nerdy. that's more nerdy than I could ever be. I'm too cheap for such a thing, even if I was rich.
Well, that's the same thing with that shitty ass boxer dude who did the Charizard one.
Oh yeah, where he had like the first edition, like as a necklace.
Yeah, it's like it's $1 million Charizard, and he wears it as his intro to his fights.
But does a case or whatever, like a special case made for it?
Yeah, he did.
It's actually into a necklace.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's nerd swag, though, man.
I think it'd be funny if you were like so you rich that you go and you buy this one of a kind Magic the Gathering card, and then you just rub your sweaty armpit on it.
Dude,
Black Lotus. You just make like 1 million nerds pass out when they hear about it. It's like, oh.
Well, it's like you know those people who take those cards and turn them into like 3D things by cutting copies of them?
Yeah.
Someone did that with a Black Lotus Magic card.
Why? All right, so explain what a Black Lotus is to Jared in the audience, because they're not gonna know. They're not gonna get that reference, shorty.
So Black Lotus is, I think, at the time, with the exception of the ring set, the most expensive Magic the Gathering card.
I think I've seen one once.
Like, so if I'm just pulling this up on eBay right now, for a signed PSA 10, so the perfect condition, the card is currently worth $168,500. That
gets you a real nice speedboat.
I mean, I would prefer the boat over the cardboard, my guy.
If you buy the Alpha edition, so like the original art for it.
Oh, we only do Alpha stuff on this podcast. What's the price? Tell me now.
$700,000.
I hate this world.
And someone got like 5 of them.
Oh my lord!
Cut them up and made them into a 3D image by stacking the cards on top of each other.
Oof. All right. Well,
because if they're damaged, they're worthless.
Yeah. So we're gonna like cut that topic right there. There's some musicians that we can think of that are kind of ingrained in nerd culture.